Hello, it's a quick video. It's a quick video for what it's worth. Let's have a little look at something. A quick video. We'll have a look at more later into it a little bit more. It's this lot here. Falkirk Council. This is early. This is from Falkirk Council. Early results from the 20 mph trial and error show average speeds when reduced 20 mph zones are now in place in 60 more communities across Falkirk. Right, and I've heard about this one in Bowness as well. I've heard a lot of negative comments about that. I haven't been down there for a while. I did a video there maybe about a year, 2 years ago. Apparently they've totally just ruined the bit, these clowns, right? So what is quick video? Now, what I can't go over these lot, right? So who are they? It does say, find out. Transports, thanks to Transports helping fund both projects. Really? Well, where does the money come from? Where does Transport Scotland get their money from? It's from taxpayers, right? So these clowns. Well, I can't get over this, right? Whatever you think about 20 zones or whatever you think about... Hold on. So here it is on their website. So what I was saying was, whatever you think about 20 zones, what your opinion is irrelevant. The bill, what I can't go over about this is that this bill, this fell in 2019. They couldn't get it through Parliament, Scottish Parliament. So that sign is meaningless. So this guy here, and that woman, and that guy there, they're corrupt. I mean, there's no other way of putting it, because they have implemented a speed zone with these signs, with that red circle around it and the 20, that are not enforceable, and they know it. He knows it. She knows it. She knows it. And he knows it. And it's the fact that the bill fell in 2019 is the problem with it. So it's not really about whether you agree or whether you don't. Why didn't they put it through the Parliament? Well, because they didn't want it. You know, it got voted down. People don't want the 20 zones. So all these criminals, him and them two, that's what they are. They're corrupt. Because they're pushing that which is not legal. So I could go and put any old sign up. That's what they've done. So you're actually, you know, you're causing a position where the law, people don't really care about the law, because real law is being ignored along with this nonsense. Because the vast majority of people don't care. 20 zones are stupid. Right, the whole thing is it shouldn't be on an A road. Right, there's no such thing as 20 zones apart from outside schools and hospitals. But if there was to be, I totally agree that you should only do 20 in these housing schemes. But that's an A road. Are you thick or something? You. And you. I think we should go up and ask these clowns, what sort of money are they getting? What's the money this guy's getting? And him. What are they getting paid to push this nonsense? I think we need to go up and actually ask them. That's what we need to do. Because I think it's terrible what they've done. But mainly because it's not lawful. I don't know if it's illegal or unlawful. It's just not lawful. If we go to Parliament, propose something, and we decide, no, we're not going to do that, and then you go and do it, how can that be right? That's not right. And then you lot are pushing it. You should have resigned. You should resign. But they're all in they're pigs in the, you know, pigs, aren't they? In the trough, getting all the money. Aye, I mean, that's what they are. Destroying our infrastructure. So people need to get to their work. There's nobody going to drive along there at 20 miles per hour. You shouldn't have children. So they're way to put planters in at the entrance and exit of Earth. It's an A road. What are you trying to do? Destroy the economy? You know, so anyway, right. So road safety measures across Falkirk Council are making an impact. Really. early data from so they put cables on the road showing clear reductions in vehicle speeds. April 2024, Earth became the first location to pat a 20 limit. Well, it's not a limit though, is it? So that's fake. That's false representation. If we called that a zone, it's not a limit because it's not enforceable. It's about an 18-month trial. Initial findings show average vehicle speeds have reduced from 26 to 23 following monitoring at 11 locations across the village. To further enhance road safety, so they've implemented, okay, so they've put something in that's 20 and they're over the moon because people are doing 23.1. So that's a success. To further enhance road safety, more permanent traffic calming features, including planters, splitter islands at both village entrances are now in detailed design. So they've got plenty of money for that. These will be installed in October 2025 as part of a long-term infrastructure to support the 20 miles per hour limit. Well, it's not a limit. Building on Earth's success, 20 miles per hour speed limits have now been introduced in 16 additional settlements as part of a phase 1 rollout. These schemes were delivered at a cost of 91,000, with 82,000 funded by Transport Scotland. That's our taxpayers' money that they are wasting on this crap. These criminals. I think they are criminals. I do. I think that's what they are. They're not doing their job properly. They're supposed to look after us. That's wasting money. They should have turned around and says, we can't do this because this bill fell in 2019. Now, Police Scotland, I've done all the research on this you like. Police Scotland are refusing to specify whether they are refusing under a Freedom of Information request to clarify if they're real speed limits because they know they're not. And the reason they won't clarify is because they're in the pockets of the Scottish Government. They're corrupt. So this nonsense. We'll not go so much. We'll maybe go and have a look at that Snub Bray one. It must be the Sender Bonus. But I've had a lot of people complaining about it. So they went and put. I believe they've put all that in there, all that, when there wasn't any of it there before. But I can't actually remember. I'll need to go down and have a look at it. Can change driver behaviour. Oh, I mean, you're destroying infrastructure. You're destroying the. And what's it going? I mean, Earth, the baker shut down. You're going to put all these planters in. You're going to end up destroying the community of Earth. There's not going to be MD. I mean, they shut down the Earth Hotel. They shut down the pub. What was it called again? Forget. The was it Elphinstone or something like that? What was it? I forgot. So they shut both hotels are shut. The baker's shut. Is the post office shut? Everything's shut. You're going to turn it into some ghetto village, and nobody's going to. Well, wait, it's just for NIMBYs, isn't it? Wandering around the streets. But that's an A road. We've got infrastructure. It's an A road for trucks, buses, and cars. Commerce, right? Go makes the road safest. I bet. Does it mention net zero? So this is a singular piece of. This is a. It's hugely encouraging. So this is a. Who's this from? Fiona Hislop. It's hugely encouraging to see the positive impact of the 20 miles per hour pilot in Earth. We know that reducing speed saves lives. Well, you don't really, do you? You're 7 times more likely to survive if struck by a car at 20 miles per hour compared to 30. Well, that's only one piece of. That's one singular piece of information. That's not critical analysis. You need to do critical analysis. So you need to have the overall fact of the matter, and the research that's been done is that actually 20 zones are more dangerous because the public become more soporific and they just wander around the road and they'll get run down and killed, and it's going to be your fault, Fiona, right? Because you're a dumpling, right? But well, you're getting well paid, so why would you bother, you know? So the problem with this is that there's a pollution as well. But the reality is, well, they're claiming they've dropped the speed from 26 to 23. So this is it. The improvements are also very well by making the junction safe for all users, walking, wheeling, cycling. This is trying to get us out of our cars, people, right? They're trying to stop us from driving. This is from the World Economic Forum. This is where this is coming from. This is next it's 15-minute gulags. The next they'll be going on about 15-minute gulags. And Fiona will be telling you how brilliant they are while your battery facility catches fire. But let's not go into all that too much now. This kind of investment is delivering real benefits. It isn't delivering anything. Not only by improving road safety, but by encouraging more people to choose active travel. I'm pleased to see local authorities like Falkirk leading the way in delivering meaningful change in their communities. Absolute bullshit. Active travel, look at the state of her. She's probably heading straight to the baker's to get some donuts. None of them look very active. Well, maybe the guys do, but it's a lot of bullshit, honestly. So that's the 20 zones. They've been lying about climate change as well, but let's just call it a day at that. Or a bunch of clowns, yeah. We should really go and actually ask them why. I'd like to actually go and ask. I don't know which one's which. Council Leader Cecil Meiklejohn. Council Leader. Why are you implementing a fake speed limit? That's what I would be asking him. I want to go and ask him that. Why are you implementing a fake speed limit? Because that's fake. It's not real. So then the next question is, why didn't you get it? Why can we not have a real speed limit there? Well, because it fell in Parliament. It didn't get passed. The democracy voted against it. A democratic decision was made against that. But that's what all this is about, people. It's not really necessarily about the actual 20 zones. It's about the democracy and how they clowns and criminals can just do what they want, regardless of what we think. And they're egged on by NIMBYs, but it doesn't matter. It's a democracy we're talking about. These are undemocratic, and these people are undemocratic, and they should be removed from office, I would say. And these 20 zones should certainly be removed. The signs should be removed, put back to 30. The police should do their job and fine people for speeding. You know, and you find there's only 3 policemen in the whole of Falkirk. That's the real. This is all part of the grift. So they're putting all this stuff in, but we're getting less. We're actually getting less. It's more like, it's like George Orwell's 1984. It's more of the sort of grift where you're led to believe that things are tighter, but they're not. It's all a con and a scam. It's all fake. When the actual fact, you're not going to get done for speeding because there's no police there to check that you're speeding. So that's how they're putting planters and everything. Well, why don't we just move them? Move the planters out of the way. Get rid of these signs. Right, so that's going to do it, guys. I think that's disgraceful. Cecil Meiklejohn, Douglas Gardner, Gary McGregor, Douglas Gardner, he's this. You know, the SNP guy. They're all criminals. They're all undemocratic, the whole lot of them. The democratic system's broken, and this proves it. Gary McGregor from Falkirk Council. Maybe have a look and see what their salaries are. Actually, they didn't get paid much. That's probably because they're numpties. That's how the Green Communists have got them in there. 42,698. I wouldn't get in my bed for that. I was expecting them being a lot more than that. My dad was making that in 1976. That's why they've got numpties. I actually feel sorry for them. 42 grand a year. 42. You'll be on some other. That's not well paid at all, eh? Well, no, but they're still stupid anyway. They shouldn't be standing there and they shouldn't be doing that. That's even more reason not to do it, but then they'll just get some other clown to do it, won't they? That just shows you what it is. That the government are just the World Economic Forum's putting numpties like that into power in the councils. The councils are being destroyed by corruption and clowns like this and all this sort of crap. We should put a stop to it. They'll more than likely have the battery facilities now, and they won't object to that. I mean, it really is out of order, like, you know. They're supposed to look after us, but all they do is just rip us off and treat us for fools. You get a handful of NIMBYs shouting for this stuff, and they're all stupid, aren't they? They're just totally stupid. So thanks for watching this video. Please like, share and subscribe. And object. Well, I don't know what to do, but don't vote for any of these clowns, but I don't exactly know what to do about it to stop them from behaving in such a corrupt manner, but hopefully the tide will start to turn on this. Some of them lot need to get prosecuted. It needs to start coming out of their wages. It needs to start coming out of their money. That would stop them from getting involved in stuff like this. If they were personally liable, that would be the answer. If they were personally liable and come along and what do you mean? Well, the money they've spent, they've made it sound all fluffy there, but it's money, innit? A couple of $100,000 for some signs and a pot plant. What a bunch of actual wasters. And you know, so they're going to spend a couple $100,000 and say, oh, it's from this fund and that fund. Oh, aye, happy days. It's taxpayers' money is what it is. And it's all that shit, and it'll all get ripped. It's all going to get ripped out. It's all going to get ripped out in the next 5 years. And that's what it should. This lot of crap should get ripped out right now. People of Earth should go and rip that lot down. Why have they? That's an A road. That's what really pisses. It's an A road. It's for trucks and commerce and buses and cars. Children shouldn't be on there. People shouldn't be wandering around the road. Should be off the road. All you're really doing is promoting, you're paving the way for your children to have 15-minute gulags. They're communists. They can't get in a car and go and work anywhere because all these places have all been shut off. And look what happens. You see these inner city areas. That's like the one in Lidl in Glasgow, where you can't get out the place unless you show your receipt. The door locks. It's because it's full of criminals. Shoplifters live in Glasgow, in the centre of Glasgow. There's this green communism. We've got like all these clean air zone lies and all the nonsense. That's what it's heading there. And all the sort of people with money are going to be locked in their houses. They'll have somewhere nice to live and all the, a Tesla outside or something and all this stuff. But what sort of community you got? You can't go wandering down there, go for a pint. The pubs are all shut. The baker's shut. The shops are shut. The post office is shut. Does that not tell you something? And now you're going to make it worse. So all these weirdo cyclists, they don't spend any money. They can buy Lycra gear on Amazon, get on their bike and cycle around. They're bloody doubled up. Why is this guy not doing something about that? The cyclists that cycle around there in threes. Why is he looks like one of them, doesn't he? He looks like a cyclist. Anyway, I'm going to go now. So thanks for watching. Bye. Absolute clowns, a lot of them. Bye. Remember and like, share and subscribe. Hello, welcome to the channel. Right, I've been trying to avoid this topic, but I better do a quick video on this. Hello, welcome to the channel. Right, this has been a bit of a nightmare, this, because it's an awful lot of noise. It's like white noise. This is the Sandy Peggie. To understand the full implications of this thing, you need to understand what it actually is, and there's a lot of people don't understand what it is, and they're voicing their opinions, which are all. So there's a lot of stuff thrown up all over the place with this, and most of it is pretty nonsensical. It's capturing people's ignorance and fears or lack of information, desires, their real genuine narcissism, malignant narcissism, their inability to do conceptual understanding of life in 2025. So it's an NHS tribunal over trans doctors. Let's just kind of quickly go over this. NHS Nurses Tribunal over Sorry, we're freezing a bit there. Over trans doctors' use of changing room. Right, so there's loads of reports about this. But anyway, it seems to have it's ended for now. It's going to finish in September. So we've got another 4 weeks. So all this stuff seems to be coming out now, even though the actual tribunal seems to have happened, I think, in February. So all the going over and over everything seems to be happening now. Sandy Peggie. Sandy Peggie, right. Let's just look up that name actually. Sandy Peggie. I always like to look at things conceptually, not just what you see, but the name Sandy is primarily a diminutive, meaning it's a shortened or familiar form of either Alexander or Sandra. Alexander is of Greek origin, meaning defender of men or protector of mankind, while Sandra is a variant of Alexandra, also with Greek roots, meaning a defender of mankind. Therefore, Sandy inherits these meanings of defence and protection. I tried to I had to specifically put surname in. Peggie is derived from the female given name Margaret, specifically from diminutive from Peggy, with the IE suffix common Scottish surnames. That would apply to Fergie, Ferguson, Fergie, IE. So it kind of looks like this woman's got two diminutive names. Sandy, Peggy, diminutive. This is all just observational stuff. Margaret itself originates from the Greek word margarites, meaning pearl. Therefore, the surname Peggy, like its root name, can be interpreted to mean pearl or precious one. It kind of looks like it's an English name. Early origins of the Peggy family, surname Peggy was first found in Derbyshire, of the family seat. Okay, that's that. So, I mean, names are interesting. If you want to examine my name, you could probably find out. If you were interested, you could probably work out deeper meanings and why people, in my case, I chose my name, sort of, although some of it was already there. I've just altered it. So in this, is this lady, so we've got a lady here, I think she's got children, they're grown up or something, I'm not sure. We've got this lady here, probably in her 50s. Is that her husband's name? No. So just trying to get a demographic here in this woman. So, Sandy Peggie claims she was subject to harassment and she was expected to share a room with trans women. So, what the hell's going on with this? Employment Tribunal brought by NHS Fife nurse. So she's brought the tribunal against NHS, who objected to sharing a changing room with a transgender woman, as adjourned ahead of closing submissions to be heard in September. Sandy Peggie, who's worked as a nurse for more than 30 years, is claiming she was subject to unlawful harassment under the Equality Act when she was expected to share a changing room with Dr Beth Upton. The tribunal had a further 2 weeks of witness evidence concluding on Tuesday. It's been watched closely for how it may be influenced by April's landmark judgment by the Supreme Court, which ruled the legal definition of Women Equality Act 2010 did not include transgender women who held gender recognition certificates. The ruling has been publicly welcomed by Peggy and her supporters. In earlier evidence, Peggy said she had felt embarrassed and intimidated when Upton started to get changed alongside her, leading to a heated exchange on Christmas Eve in 2023, the details of which are disputed. NHS Fife has previously described Peggy's actions as unnecessary and vexatious. Upton is also disputing it. Recalled to give evidence a second time on Tuesday, Peggie told her lawyer Naomi Cunningham that a number of other women shared her concerns about Upton, but were reluctant to come forward because of the very toxic situation with the health board. She named 13 NHS Fife workers, including receptionists and a consultant, who agreed that a transgender woman should not be using the women's changing rooms. Peggie was also questioned about allegations made by colleagues who previously gave evidence that she used racist slurs in chat messages and described Upton as a weirdo. Defending comments about flooding in Pakistan as dark humour, she also admitted she had used racial slurs, but said she was brought up like that and that was not a politically correct way. She said when she was asked for a photograph of Upton and used the phrase "that weirdo," it was a picture from a night out where he looked like a man in a dress. Under question by Jane Russell, KC, representing Upton NHS 5, she denied waging a hate campaign against Dr. Upton. Peggie told the tribunal, "I don't have any bad feelings about trans people. I just don't believe they should be in the women's changing room. I still believe a trans woman is a man and shouldn't be in the female changing room." Peggie was suspended after she complained about having to share a changing room with Upton at the hospital on Christmas Eve in 2023. She was then placed on special leave and later suspended after Upton made an allegation of bullying, harassment and cited concerns about patient care. At the start of the second evidence hearing, NHS 5 confirmed Peggie had been cleared of the separate gross misconduct allegations after an 18-month internal process. Earlier in evidence, Gillian Malone, the head of nursing at NHS 5, told the tribunal she could not recall seeing the risk assessment that led to Peggie's suspension. Last week, the two senior lawyers clashed after Russell argued that Peggie's legal team were confusing those giving evidence by referring to the doctor as he and him and creating a hostile environment for my witness. In January, the employment judge, Sandy Kemp, rejected an NHS 5 request to impose an order preventing the use of male pronouns or terms to refer to Upton, concluding that it was unfair to ask Peggie and her lawyers to use terms they consider inaccurate. Just look at the face on it. I mean, it's always the same, isn't it? It's also ugly women. So Dr. Upton's a better looking woman than this woman. If you could actually see, if you read this and you got the photo, you could actually think that this is a transgender doctor. So she's not really been hit with a beauty stick with the genetics, and I think there is a. I'm not sorry if I shouldn't really be nasty about it, but there is a sort of anti-man sort of thing going on. So, you know, at the end of the day, it's a work situation, and it's not a safe space, right? That's the whole thing about it, right? Let's go over some of this. Right, so it's not a safe space. It's a changing facility. It's for and she at that time was working for the NHS, and at that time, the NHS had rules and policies, and so the rules and policies of the NHS at that time. Now I don't know what the rules and policies are now. I don't know, right? Because I don't actually know. I was going to say because the policies or for example, in the work environment, they'll say things like should do this or should do that. So there's no laws regarding either way or the other. So there's no laws for either of these two. Really, if you understand what I mean, it's not a safe space. I would say she doesn't have a case, this lady. I would say that Dr. Upton, the reason Dr. Upton was in the right. Now, when you read all this stuff, it's a lot of like stuff, like Dr. Upton did this, Dr. Upton did that, blah blah blah. But I mean, it's a tribunal, so it's a bit of work, competence, isn't it? As well as it's not just the hate component. It's more of the sort of competence thing about. So from the doctor's point of view, they've had to see what she wrote in her notes about this nurse and that sort of thing. It reminds me of the divorces I had, when the solicitors were quite happy to keep sending letters back and forward, but really you needed to get out in the nitty gritty. What's this really about? So so there's a massive uproar. There's a lot of people talking about this, and there's a lot of complete shite on the internet. There's people talking about it loads. So I was arguing about it for a couple of days. I've stayed away from it. It was affecting my mental health. People are just not listening. They're not listening to me, and the attitude is appalling. But in a nutshell, this is 2025, and we have bigotry and we have prejudice. And we had prejudice over black people, and now that's pretty much shunned. For the most part, most people are not really prejudiced against black people. Ethnic minorities, religion, disability. So this is the sort of like last kind of... So really what this lady's talking about is she's talking about segregated toilets, Sandy Peggie. But the problem is that... Now here's the problem, right, for her. As far as I can see it, right, the problem. Bear in mind this is a work scenario, so it is a tribunal, that's all it is. I think people are going to expect too much out of this. I don't think there's going to be much comes out of it. But I actually do believe that Sandy Peggie and her team are really... her lawyer really should have... I'd imagine her lawyer's maybe a gender critical feminist. I reckon her lawyer should have ran away from this, because this could have repercussions. Because once all this is over, there's no reason to suggest that Police Scotland are not going to come after these people for hate crimes. Because the hate crime legislation's in place, and it's been in place. Well, we'll go and have a look at that right now. Hate crime laws in the UK, but it's also, this is in Scotland, of course. Protected characteristics: race, religion, sexual orientation, disability or transgender identity. Does it mention gender? Those are victims protected characters such as race. I don't know if it could cover like female or male. So hostility. So ill will, spite, contempt, prejudice. So it's a victim's perception. So that could be Dr. Upton. Dr. Upton should probably report this to the police once this case is over. So you got online hate, reporting, legal framework, sexual orientation, damage probably motivated by religious intolerance, and online abuse targeting someone's disability. Well, that's how Starmer locked up some of these people, for quite big sentences they got in the demonstrations, because they were threatening people in mosques. Discriminating motives behind crimes are recognised and probably addressed through the justice system. Harsher penalties for offenders will find support to victims. So I'm just looking up the Scottish hate crimes, but physical assault, verbal abuse, and incitement to hatred. So like J.K. Rowling, it could be incitement to hatred. Verbal abuse, that would be the misgendering of Dr. Upton. Because they can't turn around and say, because they've actually said that they don't believe trans women are women. So they're deliberately misgendering Dr. Upton, he and him, calling him he and him. Calling her he and him. Because like if I just says him, that you could say, well, that was a mistake. But they have deliberately said they will not call her him, or they've said they will not call him her. Right. So that's like a deliberate. So that they're actually lining themselves up to get prosecuted, and that includes weirdly enough, her lawyer. So I'm not exactly sure what the worst part of it in Scotland is of the hate crime thing more than the UK. Aggravated harassment. I think they're doing that, yeah. Yes, so I asked the question, is hate crime legislation in Scotland tougher than England? And this is really pertinent to this case, to the people that are involved with it. Yes, Scotland's hate crime legislation, specifically the Hate Crime and Public Order Scotland Act 2021, is generally considered to be tougher than England and Wales, particularly in how it addresses the stirring up of hatred element, right? So that could be like that Sex Matters group, or what, for starter, what her name is. Some of these people could be, they could be prosecuted for stirring up hatred. I don't know about J.K. Rowling, but that, you know, I don't think you can really argue with that, even if you're for or against. I think it's a distinct possibility that Peggie could, and their legal team could land up being prosecuted with hate crime. No, I'm certain of it. I'm certain of it. And they're only going to wait until this is over before they do it. They wouldn't want to do it just now. Includes a wider range of protected characteristics in Scotland. Transgender identity and variations in sex characteristics. Statutory aggravation. So, I mean, when I was arguing with them lot on Facebook, I was getting... I could have reported them for hate crime, some of the people, some things they were saying to me. But I decided to come away from it, because it's better to just come away from them. I blocked 2 of them and stayed away from it. It's not good for your mental health. They can carry on being like that, but they'll get into trouble sooner or later. So, the reasonable person test. The reasonable person test for what constitutes abusive behaviour under Scottish law has been criticised for its subjectivity, potential to chill free speech. Alright, here we go. The exclusion of sex as a protected characteristic. Right, so that's, yeah. And the initial legislation has been criticised by some feminist groups. And in conclusion, while both Scotland and England and Wales have hate crime legislation, Scotland's approach, particularly its focus on stirring up hatred and the inclusion of certain protected characteristics, is generally considered to be stricter and more controversial. Aye. So they're really playing with fire with that one. And that's how Sturgeon lost her job over Isla of Bryson. Transgender thing is a bit of a hot potato. The Equality Act 2010 is UK law that protects individuals from discrimination and harassment based upon specific characteristics. It consolidates and simplifies previous anti-discrimination laws in a single comprehensive framework. Protected. The Act identifies protected characteristics: age, disability, gender reassignment, marriage and civil partnership and employment only, pregnancy and maternity, race, alright, religion or belief, sex, right, it's got sex and sexual orientation. So that covers them lot, Sandy, Peggie, or that's for starter, or none of them lot, for, well, they're women, aren't they? So sex kind of covers everyone, really. But that's the Equality Act, right? So it's to prevent discrimination in various aspects of life in the UK. Right, so then we've got the Gender Recognition Act. Right, I was looking for the AI computer to do a sort of synopsis of this, but quickly, the Gender Recognition Act 2004 is an act of the Parliament of the United Kingdom. Allows adults in the United Kingdom who have gender dysphoria, that means you have to be diagnosed by a psychiatrist, a registered psychiatrist, change your legal gender. So, Christine Goodwin versus United Kingdom. So you need to look at that. Anyway, right. The Act was drafted in response to court rulings from the European Court of Human Rights. So we'll try and right, let's have a look. We'll try and the Gender Recognition Act. This is a brief synopsis. Provides a legal process for transgender people to change their gender. The main goal of that is to give transgender individuals legal recognition of their acquired gender. This means that after a person goes through the process, they are legally considered to be of their new gender, male or female, for most purposes. Gender recognition certificate, legal recognition is due by applying for and receiving gender recognition. So that's applied at a tribunal, and you get an official document. To get must be able to and provide evidence to a gender recognition panel. So you have to live in your acquired gender for at least 2 years. You need a diagnosis of gender dysphoria, the intention to live in their acquired gender for the rest of their life. So a person with a GRC is entitled to a new birth certificate that reflects their acquired gender, marriage, civil partnership, and pensions. The GRA only recognises a change to either male or female. It does not provide for non-binary identities. It's been criticised for being overly medicalised and bureaucratic. While the GRA states that a person acquired gender is recognised for all purposes, recent legal challenges such as Supreme Court's ruling on the Equality Act 2010 have clarified that this is subject to the provisions of other laws. The Supreme Court confirmed that for purposes of the Equality Act, sex refers to a person's biological sex at birth, which limits the effect of a GRC in contexts like single-sex services and spaces. Right, so I've been trying to ask this question in a way that come up with the information I'm needing, but the Equality Act provides a protected characteristic called gender reassignment. This protects anyone who's proposing to undergo, is undergoing, or has undergone a process of purpose of reassigning the person's sex. Crucially, you do not need a gender recognition certificate to be. This is what I'm trying to say about Dr. Upton. To be protected under this characteristic, a person is protected from the moment they announce their intention to transition. Right, so do you get that? That's the problem that Sandy Peggie's got. So that's the thing about the Supreme Court ruling, but the Supreme Court ruling does not overrule this. So I would think Dr. Upton doesn't have a gender recognition certificate because it seems that she's only just transitioned recently. So it depends on the specifics of that space. So in that situation, that's an NHS workplace. So workplaces, there you go. Requires us to provide suitable and sufficient facilities, includes separate facilities for men and women. So this event happened before this court ruling for men and women based on biological sex. So the Equality and Human Rights Commission has issued guidance, current guidance. It's necessary for reasons of propriety. There must be separate facilities for men and women based on biological sex, right? This means that an employer's single-sex changing rooms for women can lawfully exclude a person who is biologically male, regardless of the gender identity where they are transitioning. However, the employer must also not put the person in a position where there are no facilities for him to use, suggesting the need for mixed sex or private alternatives. The Supreme Court ruling and subsequent HRC guidance make it clear that a service provider who has a legitimate reason for a single-sex space can lawfully base that on biological sex. This applies to a person transitioning without a GRC as well as to someone with a GRC. For a public service like also this means that a trans woman, a biological male, would not be permitted to use a female-only ward, and a trans man, a biological female, would not be permitted to use a male-only ward. So this, I'm not even going to look into this. There's loads and loads and loads of comments here. Thousands and millions. Most of them are nasty. It's a waste of time. I'm not even going to look at it. You know, there were some of them were actually committing a hate crime against me, but I don't really want to look at that. We could look at this for hours and days and months, and it would take hours to do the video, and you're not really going to learn anything. It's just the amount of discrimination. It's horrible what people are saying. Anyway, right, so what do I think? Well, I mean, obviously, this incident took place. Is it relevant? I don't actually know. It's a tribunal, isn't it? So I don't know. This took place before the Supreme Court ruling. I don't really see what the Gender Recognition Act is still in place. So I think that, so there's like, what I'm trying to say to you, and I hope you understand this, right, is crime legislation is still in place. This is what I'm trying to explain, and these people weren't listening to me. It's frustrating when people don't listen. Right, so put it this way, I'm not, let's just say I'm neutral, right? I'm still talking about the hate crime legislation is in place, right? So you don't like the hate crime legislation, you don't believe it, you can say all sorts of things, but it's still there, isn't it? It hasn't gone away. I mean, I don't like the net zero stuff, and the reality is a lot of that stuff's got legislation in place, so I want to overthrow it. So, but I don't turn around and say, they have made these stupid rules and laws and legislation. But this is, I mean, what I'm trying to say is that you have to ground yourself in reality. The Gender Recognition Act was implemented in 2004. A European court, so Dr. Victoria MacLeod has taken the British government to court over this. So what's going to happen is it's going to get tightened up. So in the meantime, we've got this kind of spat or whatever it is. And my own personal feelings are, I think most people will be disappointed with the outcome. And they'll carry on arguing and arguing and arguing. But I think the Scottish Government, I don't actually see any hate, whatever that is. I don't see it coming from Dr. Upton. I see it coming from Sandy Peggie. And I see it coming from our legal team. So we've seen that, so the Scottish component is incitement of hatred. So they'll report them to the police. You mark my words. So she might well win this case, Sandy Peggie. She might win it and still get arrested afterwards. It's not, I mean, what are you fighting for? I mean, so you're a nurse, you've got this doctor who's transitioning, you're in a changing space. You look like a man. This fucking Sandy Peggie looks like a man. She's masculine, that's why she's stroppy. That's why she's doing this. She's sort of like a lesbian type. Well, she's not exactly a lesbian, but she might be. So that's discrimination. If I was, yeah, that would be discrimination, wouldn't it, if I was to criticise. But I'm not criticising the fact she's a lesbian. I think it's like OCD sort of thing, where we're just honing in on everything, you know, and they're honing in on this, what they see as a threat. So really what you're looking at here is women that hate other women. And that's the thing that got me about it, was the amount of women that hate me on that Daily Record page, on all these commenters hate me. There's hundreds of them. And you go, why? Why do they care? I mean, look at me. Why do they fucking care? But it's because they're twisted. They're twisted in the head. They're not right in the head. But see, like I've always said to you, I know I'm not right in the head, but they don't know. And it's all about what they want, and they want to control men. They want to control everything, and they can't control it. And that's why they don't want any more competition. So Dr. Upton is competition. Who would give personally, would I give a shite if I'm in a space getting changed and Dr. Upton came in? I wouldn't give a shite, but I suppose I'm a liberal, aren't I? I don't really get it at all. I think that's just, He's just been a total. I think that's Sandy Peggie. I think to think about your life. If you think, what did you do in your life, and that's what you did. That's what you're going to be remembered for. What you're going to be remembered for. For what? Reclaiming a safe space for biological females. And I just don't get it at all. It's not even a safe space. If it was a safe space, women's refuge or a rape crisis centre, but this is a work situation. There's changing rooms. Get changed. Get on with your fucking job. Stop being such a moaning-faced bastard. Now you've cost fucking thousands. Thousands and thousands of NHS. So it's you fighting the NHS. You're not fighting Dr. Upton. It's the NHS's policies, and even that Supreme Court ruling that happened after it, didn't it? How does that apply to this happened then, didn't it? When it happened, which was a couple of years ago. When was it? Last year, So it's Christmas Eve. 2023. Christmas Eve 2023. So coming up for 2 years ago. So look at that. Spirit courtrooms or not. I mean, when you look at it's quite I think the whole thing's a bit tragic. I think it's sad. I don't rate. I think they're extremists. I'm not into the trans ideology either. But when you look at Beth Upton, she's actually a better looking woman than... Is that what it's all about? Is that what it's all about? I don't have to tell patients I'm trans, says doctor in tribunal. She's quite female, feminine looking actually. So this is like, the thing about it is there's like, you have two circles, you've got one's male, one's female, and you're going to get overlapping circles, and I reckon you're seeing it here. I reckon you're seeing it with her. Overlapping circle, masculine traits, and you're seeing it with her. Overlapping circle, feminine traits. She's biological male, biological female. There's an overlacking circle going on here. She's obviously better looking, but then she's probably dumped her men. Who knows what her background is? She's probably had a bit of a rough life of her own making, probably. And she's young, and she's probably been a doctor. She's probably further up the social hierarchy than she is. She's a nurse, right? So she's better educated, higher educated. That's a fact, right? And she's lower educated, and she's clutching at straws. But whatever's going to happen, I wouldn't want to be her. I wouldn't want to be her either, because I don't believe in the trans ideology actually. And when I was looking up the research here, I seen that Lord Tebbit said that transgender stuff was mutilation, and that was back 20 years ago. I'll need to check that again if it was Lord Tebbit, but it was one of the Conservative lords, and you know what? He's got a point, or he had a point, because it is. You get your genitals rearranged. That is mutilation, but then you get into the wider context of it all, about all sorts of things, and lots of things that people do that are mutilation. Health. So it's really, he's got a point, but well, that's up for debate. But the fact of the matter is, the Gender Recognition Act exists, so we'll leave them to it. There's nothing much can be done about this until the beginning of September. So we've got another month. And I think if she wins the case, she's going to end up getting arrested. If she loses the case, she'll end up getting arrested. She's not going to get arrested. I don't know if she'll get punished as a doctor, malfeasance or something like that. I don't think so. I think a lot of it seems a bit really wishy-washy, the evidence that they put forward about her changing her notes and stuff like that. I don't know. I don't know how that's just a work tribunal, isn't it? So, from that point of view, I think that covered most of it here. There is a lot more. You could look into it all, the ins and outs of it all, but it's quite It's about he said, she said, she said, he said, she said. So that lady there and her team are doubling down and calling this lady a he. Now, under the Gender Recognition Act, the fact that she doesn't have a gender recognition certificate is irrelevant, because the Act covers you. I did read that out a bit earlier. As soon as you transition, that's you. So that, I know it seems mad, but that's what it is, right? And it's been like that since 2004. It's not like it's new, right? So I think we'll leave it at that, guys. Thanks so much, and like, share, and subscribe. We'll get you in the next video. Work, changing spaces are not safe spaces, and so in the meantime, it might be that I don't know what they're going to do at work, because it said should. It's no laws, but toilets, they're like 20 zones. Yeah, toilets and 20 zones, but irrelevant. I think what will happen is the British government will tighten down on this. They'll rearrange the Gender Recognition Act, and a lot of transgender people will be in for compensation for the discrimination they've been receiving from the Supreme Court's ruling. From then up until whenever the British government gets round to fixing it, they'll be in for compensation. So that's something to look forward to. Thanks for watching. Bye!